Thank you for inviting me to this 3-day conference, and I'm glad to know that so many topics are being covered under this session, 3-day sessions, and starting from the basics of hydrogen to the finance, to the risk management, and to the hydrogen hubs, the storage part, everything. So it's a very comprehensive sessions details. So I'd like to congratulate you, the USAID and SAREP and SAREH for organizing this conference. I would also like to welcome all the participants from the region, from South Asia, for this conference. And as you know, it's a the geographical landscape in South Asia is such that eh, almost all the countries here, they are dependent on imports of energy to fuel their domestic needs. So, the green hydrogen space is for everyone. Means all the countries, they can have, as I was told, Bhutan is unveiling its hydrogen strategy today in at COP. So green hydrogen is expected to play a big role in decarbonization of the globe as a whole, as well as in particular the South Asian region. So as you know, as we decarbonize, so there are two basic pathways where we can decarbonize, we can take these. So first one is you electrify. So whatever applications are there, you electrify those applications, as we are seeing electric vehicles, and it almost every consumer goods are now electrified, whether we use our household goods or everything. So this is one part where we reduce the carbon intensity, carbon emissions, and we decarbonize. Second part is there are certain processes where you cannot use electricity, where the processes, they require feedstock as a fuel, as a feedstock. For example, refineries, uh, uh, in fertilizers, in steel. So there you can use electricity to a certain extent, but in the processes you cannot use electricity. So that's where the hydrogen part comes in. So we can use hydrogen in for decarbonization of refinery sector, for steel sector, for road transport, for shipping, and very soon maybe for aviation in form of sustainable aviation fuel. So there are large number of applications that are there for hydrogen, and this number is going to increase. So, keeping this in mind, we India announced this National Green Hydrogen Mission. We launched it in January this year, 4th of January, and we are looking at because we are currently importing a lot of energy, a lot of crude oil to the country. So one way for decarbonization is again use of hydrogen, and since we are blessed with renewable energy, and we have a lot of solar energy, wind energy, so we can use that energy, we can convert into hydrogen, and we can use that hydrogen in our refineries, in our fertilizers, in our steel plants. So that way, a certain part of the dependent on imports get reduced. So we expect that maybe around $8 billion worth of imports we would be able to reduce by cumulatively by 2030. So, under the mission, what we are targeting is 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen production capacity per annum by 2030. And this would require 125 gigawatt of renewable energy. So, that's a very, very significant capacity that is being set up in the country. In addition, the kind of the investment that is needed is to the tune of $100 billion. So 8 lakh crore of rupees is that we are targeting. So $100 billion of investment will come into this sector, and this sector will again it will generate around 600,000 of direct jobs. So the number of indirect jobs, it will be much more, but the 600,000 are the direct jobs. uh, and it will again lead to abatement of 50 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions per annum. Uh, this is a broad picture of our mission, and under the mission we are also because some of the sectors, like I said, refineries, fertilizers, they are ready-made sectors where you don't need the technology is quite an advanced stage. It's a mature technology. We can use hydrogen directly as a feedstock, but there are certain industries where some kind of pilot projects are to be done. So we are targeting use of hydrogen as a pilot for a pilot in steel for production of green steel, in road transportation sector for heavy duty trucks, etc., and then again as a carrier for shipping. So as a shipping fuel. So in shipping, it can be in the form of maybe green methanol or maybe green ammonia. Uh, so we have under our mission, we have targets for using hydrogen as a pilot in these areas. So there are some established areas and there are some new areas which which are the pilot projects. So in fact, if we step slightly back and we look at an overall RE perspective, then our targets are quite significant. We will be have a target of reaching 500 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. So this currently we are at around 180 gigawatt, and we hope to triple it by 2030. So, and we have a very dedicated strategy towards that. And this amount of energy will also be electricity and the associated transmission networks. Now, transmission is again a very key component of all this RE setup and hydrogen production of hydrogen and green ammonia. So our targets are 5 million ton, but the response from the industry is very tremendous and encouraging. And we have been informed that currently the projects that are in pipeline at various stages are to the tune of 8 million metric tons of green hydrogen production per annum. So, as is the case with every new product, so there is a cost difference. The cost is slightly higher as compared to the regular, the gray hydrogen. So to bridge down that cost, the mission has incentives for production of hydrogen and for manufacturing of electrolyzers. So we'll be incentivizing the production where there is a trajectory of incentives, decreasing incentives over a period of 3 years for hydrogen and over a period of 5 years for electrolyzers. So this is expected that this will bring down the cost to a certain extent. Then second part is the states will play a major role here. So states are also providing certain kind of incentives. So that will again help in bringing down the cost. So ultimately, basically, it is the cost differential that has to be bridged. And once this is bridged, then hydrogen will like take off in a huge way. And this is for every country. Means we have hydrogen strategies. US has announced its own hydrogen strategies in form of hydrogen hubs. Recently announced setting up of around 7 to 8 hydrogen hubs. Then EU has its own strategy. Japan, Singapore, South Korea, every country in the world is now moving towards hydrogen. In South Asia, what we have in common is our RE potential. So every country in the region has its renewable energy potential, very substantial. Some is in form of solar energy, some in wind energy, some in the hydropower sector. So this is where we can uh, cooperate and help each other and work with each other as to, because 70% of the cost of hydrogen is the cost of renewable energy. So if we have grid connected regions, inter intercountry grids are there where from where we can source energy. So that creates a win-win situation for the countries involved, and uh, it's very rightly called that hydrogen is the fuel of the future. So as far as financing of hydrogen is concerned, so financing, as I said, there are certain kinds of incentives which every government is providing. But then again, because the kind of risks involved, it's a new sector, fledgling sector, where in fact, in what is green hydrogen is again a topic for debate. Some countries announce the different countries have their own different standards for hydrogen. But I'm happy to convey that in COP today, we are signing a declaration of intent on hydrogen, where the different countries they will have mutual certification of their hydrogen standards. So financing, coming back to finance, so it's a crucial component. We need 100 billion, 8 lakh crores, $100 billion of finance for setting up of these uh, plants, green hydrogen production plants and ammonia plants and electrolyzer units. So there are various streams of financing. There's multilateral finance, then there's blended finance, then there's domestic finance. So we have, in fact, because this is a new sector, which not enough clarity maybe now, but maybe 3 4 years down the line, we will have a very solid kind of demand from in every sector. So it is, I think it's some kind of a like where solar was in maybe 2000, early 2000s. So the tariffs, solar tariffs were in the range of 15 rupees, 16 rupees per unit. So now those tariffs have come down to 2 rupees, 3 rupees per unit. So this is what a sector can achieve over a such a means, around 1.5 decades. This is the amount of availability and the cost reduction that has taken place. And similar is the case that I expect with hydrogen. And even the time period may be less, because I think US has announced that this the hydrogen shot, so $1 per in this decade per kg of hydrogen. So that's so in fact what uh, our targets are also, as to how we can reduce the cost of hydrogen, and cost of financing of the projects is a deter is a major factor for determining the cost of hydrogen. So there are two, three types of cost. One is the cost of renewable energy. Second is the cost of electrolyzers and the land, etc., that is needed. But a differentiator here would be the cost of financing. So we have currently, in fact, in India, we have set up a working group with the industry, with the bankers, with the ministry. So that working group is working on how we can facilitate easy financing, how we can facilitate financing at a lower rate of interest. So that's what we are working on. And I mean, we are currently having a lot of multilateral, bilateral cooperation with the countries in our neighborhood. So I would again, Miss, I'll majorly I would like to close here, uh, but we are always available for whatever queries, questions, and what in whatever way we can learn from each other in the neighborhood, because the geographical conditions, the topography, it's almost the same as far as energy is concerned. So I would again like to thank USAID, SAREP, SARA for conducting this workshop, and my best wishes to all the participants and to the organizers. Thank you.